הקדוש ברוך הוא אנא מלך, אנא מלך, אנא מלך, אנא מלך מלכי המלכים, אנא מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא אנא מלך. כל הדרך שהלכנו שמך לא שכחנו, כי בך בטחנו כל קיים, אליך בכינו, אליך קיווינו, כי אתה בינו. כל הדרך שהלכנו שמך לא שכחנו, כי בך בטחנו כל קיים, אליך בכינו, אליך קיווינו, כי אתה בינו. אבא רחמן, אבא רחמן, כל הדרך שהלכנו, אליך בכינו, אליך קיווינו, כי אתה בינו. כל הדרך שהלכנו שמך לא שכחנו, כי בך בטחנו קיים, אליך בכינו, אליך קיווינו, כי אתה בינו. אנא לך איתנו וגם אם חטאנו, אל תשכח אותנו לעולם. אנו עבדיך ומבלעדיך, אין לנו מלך אלא אתה. אליך בכינו, אליך קיווינו, כי אתה בינו. אבא רחמן, אין לנו מלך אלא אתה.
ואילו מלא שירו כיום, ואילו מלא שירו כיום, אין אנחנו מספיקים להידויס לך. ואילו מלא שירו כיום, ואילו מלא שירו כיום, אין אנחנו מספיקים להידויס לך. להידויס לך. ואילו מלא שירו כיום, אין אנחנו מספיקים להידויס לך. ואילו מלא שירו כיום, ואילו מלא שירו כיום, אין אנחנו מספיקים להידויס לך. להידויס לך. לך Shirokaya.
My brother, we're one. Show the world how it's done. Sing with me, B'Shalom. Barcheinu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad. Barcheinu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad. Kulanu Echad. Together singing B'Shalom. Barcheinu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad. Barcheinu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad. Kulanu Echad. Together singing B'Shalom. Kulanu Ke'echad. Kulanu Ke'echad. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. My brother, we're one. Show the world how it's done. Sing with me B'Shalom. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. My brother, we're one. Show the world how it's done. Sing with me B'Shalom. Barcheinu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad. Barcheinu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad. Kulanu Echad. Together singing B'Shalom. Barcheinu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad. Barcheinu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad. Kulanu Echad. Together singing B'Shalom. Kulanu Ke'echad. Kulanu Ke'echad. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. My brother, we're one. Show the world how it's done. Sing with me B'Shalom. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. My brother, we're one. Show the world how it's done. Sing with me B'Shalom. Shalom. Tova uviracha. Chaim chaim b'chesed v'rachamim. Aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'tzim. Shalom. Tova yeh b'einecha. T'varech es kol amecha. B'chol etznu v'chol sha'a. B'shloimecha. Kulanu Ke'echad. Kulanu Ke'echad. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. My brother, we're one. Show the world how it's done. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me B'Shalom. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. My brother, we're one. Show the world how it's done. Sing with me B'Shalom. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. My brother, we're one. Show the world how it's done. Sing with me B'Shalom. Shalom, shalom. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. Ke'ish echad b'leiv echad. My brother, we're one. Show the world how it's done. Sing with me B'Shalom. ועבר, עוד לא קרה שיום חזר. מה שהיה, היה ונגמר, מה שיהיה זה כל מה שנשאר. מה שהיה תם ונשלם, אתה כבר לא הולך לשם. מה שהיה, היה ונזכר, מה שפתוח זה רק המחר. היה ועבר, עוד לא קרה שיום חזר. מה שהיה, היה ונגמר, מה שיהיה זה כל מה שנשאר. מה שהיה תם ונשלם, אתה כבר לא הולך לשם. מה שהיה, היה ונזכר, מה שפתוח זה רק המחר. Cause you know tomorrow's gonna come. מחר השמש תזרח, וכולנו נשמח. מחר הכל יתבהר, רק צריך להאמין שאפשר לחכות עד מחר. מחר השמש תזרח, וכולנו נשמח. לא נצטרך עוד לבכות, מחר הכל יתבהר, הכאב ייגמר, רק צריך להאמין שאפשר לחכות עד מחר. לחכות עד מחר.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another show, the Shabbat show. I can't believe we're back again. Don't you feel like the weeks are flying by? It's awesome. It's great to be back with you again. Oh, favorite time of the week. No, favorite time of the week. You can almost feel the week fighting to hold on just a little longer as it loses its grip on our lives. The smell of the challah is getting stronger. The light of the candle is getting brighter. And before you know it, we're going to be in Shabbat, the greatest day of the week. For me, I've been blessed to be with you at this time. And as the clocks begin to change, we're going to probably switch our time. But for now, it's an honor to be together. And I was thinking today that when you go to shul, like when I go to shul on a Friday night, part of my highlight is seeing so many people that I missed all week, right? It's part of the experience of Judaism is not just the rituals of Judaism, it's the larger culture of Judaism. There's a certain joy that you get when you see other people around. That's why the virus has been so hard for us. And in many ways, that's what it's like to be on this show. When you tune in, when you come back, when you're here week after week, it's not that we're delivering and you're watching and listening. We're doing this together. We're a community, we're a family, and we need you and we want you. And every person that comes on, every person that's part of what we're doing is so critical. And it's so great to be back with you again. It's so great to be able to experience these last few minutes of the week together before we enter into the day of Shabbat. We've got a great show for you planned today. You know, we're in a great, interesting, wonderful period of time, right? Summer is over. And when summer is over, what happens afterwards is back to school. Now, back to school has different connotations if you are the child or the parent. And there has never been a year where back to school rung sweeter than this one. And I don't just mean for the parents who have been telling their kids school started like 2 weeks ago. They're like, just walk slowly, honey. It started. Just keep on walking. When you get there, it'll probably start. I'm not just talking about the parents who've had the kids home for some 6 months. Talk about the kids. I know they fight us, but they're dying for their friends as well. This is an incredible period of time. What we wanted to do in today's show was really take a pause and talk about parenting, proud and prepared parenting, because the kids are going through an adjustment. Kids are adjusting into a new world. It's an incredible life that we live when you see now as an accessory, a mask. Like this is a thing you buy on websites that are designed. When you go to a bar mitzvah and they give out masks with the kid's name on it. Like it's insane if you think about it. Like little kids, like little cutesy kids are walking around with little masks and little strings from their neck. So like it's incredible. Like we're living in incredible times and kids are going through stuff that they're saying, that they're not saying. Bar mitzvahs are getting started and then they get canceled and you can go and you can't go and you can't kiss your grandma and you can't kiss your grandma. And it's complicated. There's never been a time that we need to talk and pause about parenting. And when I mean parenting, I want to be clear. This doesn't just apply to people that are dealing with their biological children. I mean parenting in general. So if you're watching this show and you're an empty nester, parenting applies. If you're watching the show and you're not married and you don't have kids, it applies. Because not only may you be an aunt or an uncle, you may be a teacher, you may be a person in a community, you may be a friend. When I'm talking about parenting on this show, we are talking about what it means to prepare the next generation for greatness. It's everyone's responsibility today. That's what we're talking about today, parenting. The Torah is very big into parenting in that the Torah begins with the idea of avos, our forefathers. It could have very well began in law. It could have very well began in Egypt. That's really where we started as a nation, but it didn't. It began with forefathers and our matriarchs and patriarchs, because what it's telling us is that there's a certain value to how information gets passed. There's a lens we look at through the lens of parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, of which we all have, and in some cases, as the generations get older, had. That's what we're going to talk about on the show today, and it's going to be awesome. You know why it's going to be awesome? Because we have insane, amazing guests. We've got Adina Stillerman that's coming on. We've got Mrs. Hannah Sterner Lewenstein coming on. We've got a mentor of mine when I was younger, which I will tell you all you about, Judge Dan Butler, coming on. We've got Kahoot, we got Jamie Geller, we got new segments, and we've got a great show to bring in Shabbat. So please join us to the end. If there's somebody out there that you think should hear this show, just send it to them. Like just send the link and tell them to watch the show. We got a while together, so it's going to be awesome. Stick with us. Let's begin by giving you a little bit of what's going on around the horn in Project Inspire. This week, MindFlex is coming up. MindFlex is this great program where we have courses throughout the week that really stretch your mind. Flex the Mind this week is going to be Rabbi Adam Jacobs, Kabbalah, Quantum Mechanics of the Spiritual World. Sounds awesome. Remember to check out the Shabbat Show online, shabbatshow.com. You can see previous shows. If you found something that you liked, you can see longer interviews if there's someone there. And also you can send to other people that can watch it so that you don't get it from there. We want to talk about a different program that's going on right now. This is called the Taste of Shabbat program. This is a great online cooking program where another group from a different place teaches everybody else a different aspect of the meal. You can check this out here. This week they're doing, Tuesday, where are we? September 8th, right? The soup led by Arizona. Arizona, do you guys eat soup? You guys have soup in Arizona? All right. It's got to be amazing if the Arizona crew is giving you soup. So check that out. And of course, one-on-one. Very important for those that want, especially as we get to the high holidays. Great time to get an online partner, to get someone that you can learn with, set up calls or texts, whatever it is. Really, this is the time of year to get this. Text one-on-one to 97,000. And of course, September 14th, really important, is the dinner, the online dinner for Project Inspire. Even if you come on for a few minutes and show the support, it means the world to them. Project Inspire is working tirelessly to make us better people, more inspired and empowered people, to show everything that they're doing. Check it out. We've got a great program lined up. We've got very important honorees. And even if you come on for a few minutes to show your support, it means the world to them. September 14th. Okay, before we begin and jumping into our first segment, I want to give a couple of Shabbat Shaloms. If you want a Shabbat Shalom, I'd love to hear from you. You can always chat it or go to my Facebook page and it's there. A couple times, let's just begin a little bit, and we got a whole show of this. So Shabbat Shalom to the Mervis kids and to their Bubby and Zadie. Shabbat Shalom from Henya in Toronto. Shabbat Shalom to Helene. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom to RM. I thought for sure we'd be in Israel now. Me too. Shabbat Shalom to our Momentum sister, Cece Dashi. I hope I said that right. And her family, and so many other sisters watching from Arizona. We love Arizona, and we're pumped for the soup recipes in Arizona. Shabbat Shalom to the Popels in Miami. Shabbat Shalom to the Seidel's in Baltimore. Shabbat Shalom to Patriots Rock, a.k.a. Rivka Tyler from Baltimore. Shabbat Shalom to Toby and Jody, my friends. By the way, just for the record, Toby, I am loving the wine you sent over. Send over more of those bottles. The red wine was insane. Okay, let's begin with our first segment. We have one of our members of the Project Inspire team is a man named Michael Apfeld. He went on the street today to talk about parents, what they mean to people. So check out his report.
Is it on? Okay. My name is Michael Apfel. I'm going to be asking some random people some questions in New York, simply because they paid me to do it. So, okay. Trying to get in. I'm just trying to stop. I'm literally trying to get in. Hello, I'm Michael Apfel. We're going to be asking people questions today about family, about what family is to them, what their parents are to them, what good parenting is, what bad parenting is maybe. I hope we don't get too many answers about what bad parenting is. The truth is, I just want to try and find out what people think it is that makes them, I suppose, who they are. Cute little kid, right?
Oh, you want to talk?
How do you know that your parents loved you?
I mean, they told me. They told me on a pretty regular basis. Yeah, hugs, kisses, sporting activities. We ate dinner together every night.
Showering your kids with love and accepting their mistakes and being forgiving, and everything else is just a detail.
How did you know your parents loved you?
Just by the things that they do for me, putting up with all my stuff in high school.
I knew even if I wasn't happy with it, they were always caring about what I was doing. I knew their heart was in it, and it still is.
It was fine for them that I wasn't like the other kids, that I didn't have the same interests as the other kids. They made me know that I was unique and authentic as a person.
They're cool friends. I can relate to them, especially my dad. He likes to play video games sometimes, and I think I can connect with them really well.
Makes a good parent when he comes home, tells me, Sammy, I love you. Just falls asleep, and then that's it. I go watch my TV.
What do you think actually makes a pretty bad parent?
Someone that gets angry.
The person doesn't care about the child, tells like always drinks, comes home drunk.
What makes a good parent?
Someone that cares about his children, and he talks and he acts positively with his children.
You a father?
Yes, I am.
You a good father?
Try to be.
You a bad father?
Try not to be.
Try or succeed?
I hope I succeed.
Were you a good kid or a bad kid?
That's personal. I hope I was good.
Okay, that was our little segment asking people about family. Pretty much everyone actually has a pretty similar response. I don't know what you think about that. I hope you liked it. I'm going to pass it back to you, Charlie. Take care.
Thank you, Michael. Everyone, I guess, identified with different people on that video. I identified with the girl that said, I drove my parents insane when I was in high school. So if my parents are watching, I apologize again for how I made you raise me. Our first guest is a woman named Adina Stillerman. Mrs. Adina Stillerman is the co-founder and director in Yehudi in Florida. Through enriching experiences, genuine learning, real relationships, and empowering actions, Yehudi catalyzes the humbling Jewish power within every college student and millennial in Florida. She also teaches a very popular parenting course that is now available online at principledparents.com. Adina, welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Welcome back to the show, I should say.
I know. I don't know if anybody else has been back, but this is really, really exciting. So good to see everybody out there.
It's great to have you on. Welcome back. You were one of our first, if I remember correctly, I think you were like week 3, right? You were really early on. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't know what it was at the time. Now it's like super popular, and I'm really honored that they asked me to come back in a little bit of a different capacity. I get to talk about parenting, which is a real passion of mine. So great to see you again. So I was asked to speak about, I think, the secret of real parenting.
Right.
And what's really interesting is that parenting took lots of shifts over the last few months. Was parenting at home when they were inside, and we were talking about that before, inside our homes, and now we're sending them off to the classrooms. I have 5 kids are all in class now. But what is the real secret to parenting beyond when they're in your home? Like, what is the secret impact? What is the secret of making a real impact on your children? That when they're sitting next to you or when they're 5,000 miles away from you in college, you know that they will take those Jewish values with them wherever they go. That's the real question. I want to talk to you for a few minutes, if that's okay. So I'll give you a few phrases, actually. Tell me if they sound familiar to you. I was not born yesterday, mister. There are starving people in Africa that would gladly eat your dinner. Money doesn't grow on trees, you know. I'll wash your mouth out with soap. If you keep your eyes like that, your face is going to freeze that way. Because I said so. Or if I have to ask you one more time, does this sound familiar to you? And a lot of you might be chuckling just because you're parents and you might have heard those words slip out of your mouth quite a few times. My daughter Ita, by the way, who came, she teaches parenting with me. You might have heard those things slip out of your mouth a few times. Why? Because your parents said those things to you, and those are phrases you swore you would never, ever use on your kids. And yet here we are using them again. The question is, do the things that our parents did for their generation work in our generation today? The people that we're raising today, do the strategies work? What is the real secret? We do know that assimilation is high. We do know that intermarriage is high. Is there something new that we can introduce? Is there a silver bullet that the Torah teaches us that we can embrace now, today, and use it forevermore? So there's a paragraph in the Torah that's, I think, inarguably the most popular, well-known paragraph in the entire Torah. So popular that we're supposed to say it when we wake up in the morning, when we go to sleep at night. We teach it to our children when we're young. We say it on our deathbeds. It's just one of those things that it's almost like the Jewish national anthem for 3,000 years, and that's the Shema, right? And the Shema is pretty well known because it's the time when you cover your eyes and you say the first sentence, which is Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And we declare the oneness of God. But it's the paragraph after that I want to talk about. Ready for this? The paragraph talks about love. V'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha. I'll read it to you in English just so you can really see it. You should love Hashem, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your resources. Let these matters that I command you today, they should be on your heart. There it is again. Teach them to your children. Ding, 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 ding. Parenting. Teach them to your children. Speak of them while you sit in your home, while you walk on the way, when you go to sleep, when you get up. Bind them to your arm. Put them between your eyes. Write them on your doorposts and your house and your gates. Okay, let me give you an analogy for a second. If your daughter's all grown up, let's say she's in college, and she calls you up one day and she says, Mom, Dad, I met a guy. You'll say, I like him. Will you think twice about it? Probably not. But if she were to call you up and say, Mom, Dad, I met a guy and I love him. In fact, I can't stop talking about him. I can't stop thinking about him. I love him so much with all my soul, with all my heart, with all my resources. I gave him all my money. I made my jewelry with his name all over it. I have pictures all over my house of just this guy. When I go to sleep at night, I think about him. When I wake up in the morning, I think about him. When I sit in my house, I can't stop but talk about him. Everywhere I go, in the streets, in my supermarkets, all I do is talk about this guy. What are you going to think? Now you want to meet this guy. Now it's really serious. Yes, would you be a little bit concerned? But I think it's a great analogy. Real Jewish values are not taught in the school systems completely. It's not a fully effective system because real Jewish values, the real classroom, is in the home. And we as parents are the teachers. Why? Because that's the only way, that's the only context that they will be able to see that Judaism is not a religion, it is a relationship. It is a loving relationship with God. To the point that everything that we do in our home is about the fact that God created this world for us. All of our actions, our money, the things that they see, the fact that we wake up and they'll say, what, as parents, what a gorgeous morning. Thank you so much, God, for this amazing morning. The pool is clean. The sun is shining. When they see that energy, that love, to the point that it's not just a thing that we do, prayer, but it's a close, intimate connection that I do when I'm most worried about something. They sneak upstairs and they see me in my room, pouring over Tehillim over something. That's where they see that it's a relationship. When they see that we go in our cars and we're praying for a parking spot, that's where they see that it's a relationship. And it is in that context that we know it will make the deepest impression, an impression that truly embodies profundity, goes directly to the soul, and it emanates from them forevermore. No matter how far they are from us, no matter how far they go, it will be there. There's a really interesting story about Joseph in Egypt. If you think of far, that's far when Joseph travels from his family. Not just far in terms of miles, but far in terms of values. He went from his home, which was so godly, to Egypt, which is like the antithesis of godliness. It was filled with avodah zarah. And not only that, with idol worship, not only that, but he rose to power to the point that he was in a position where he couldn't afford to be unpopular, right? When you run for presidency, you have to be the people's person. You have to be someone that is someone that they would like. You have to align with those values. But somehow we know that he almost made a mistake. He was about to trip up in a huge way. And then the Torah says that he saw a vision of his father and he realized where he came from. But what did he see? Did he hear words that his father taught him? Or did he see who his father was behind closed doors when nobody was looking, in the classroom that his father built, that we are still learning from today? It was that he saw, which gave him the strength to be who he was meant to be, despite the odds, despite the challenge. Truth be told, the original classrooms before education was institutionalized was always the home. Mothers and fathers taught their children. Let us embrace this amazing opportunity that we have, especially in Elul. This is the time, it's the month of love, Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li, to develop those relationships behind closed doors when nobody's looking, when they see us say a bracha in our kitchens and there's nobody around to say amen. Some of us might not be going to synagogue this Yom Kippur or this Rosh Hashanah, and we will be able to, for the first time, show our little tiny children who won't necessarily be with us because they're usually in children's services. They'll be able to see you with your machzor close to your heart, drenched with your tears. And it is that will make the deepest impression for their lives. It will be that synagogue experience that will remember forever. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. And we thank you for those words. It's so incredible that we appreciate what we do. Our actions, our thoughts are really having an impact, like you said. And thank you so much for joining us. You can check out Ms. Adina Stillerman's program on principledparents.com. We now have an incredible guest. Before we get to our next guest, we've got an incredible album we want to show you. A great singer-songwriter named Tani Polanski. Before we go, I want to just give a couple of Shabbat Shaloms. To Michael Weingart from Germany, Shabbat Shalom. To Shabbat Shalom to the Cohens in Macon, Georgia. Shabbat Shalom to Ronnie and Abe Adler from Fair Lawn, New Jersey. I'm looking down at the Facebook feed over here. To Debbie Laufer from Massachusetts. Shabbat Shalom to you. Okay, we've got this wonderful singer-songwriter currently based in New York. His name is Tani Polanski. He is set to debut his solo album, Tefillah, the first offering of his Tefillah project later this year. The goal is to elevate and personalize the way we experience prayer through song. His music can be found anywhere music is found. And for inspirational content related to prayer and song, feel free to follow him at Tefillah, that's 2 E's Music, on Facebook or Instagram. Check out this wonderful song from this great new singer-songwriter, Tani Polanski.
Father, bring me back to you, back into your loving arms. Achas, achas, shalti, meis Hashem, oso avakesh, oso avakesh, achas, shalti, meis Hashem, oso avakesh, oso avakesh, shifti beveis Hashem, kol yemei chayai, kol yemei chayai, lachzos benoam, benoam Hashem, uvaker beichalo, uvaker beichalo. Achas, achas, shalti, meis Hashem, oso avakesh, oso avakesh, achas.
Tani, if you're watching this, you killed it, man. Phenomenal. God bless you. What energy. What passion. What passion. You know, Adina Stillerman said something so profound. She said it quickly, and it got lost to drop, but it was so profound. She said, Judaism is not a religion, it's a relationship. It's easy to forget when we talk about parenting, that when we talk about parenting, we're not only looking down, we're looking up. Every single one of us can have that relationship to God. Every one of us could feel like we're going back into his loving arms, no matter how far you think you are, no matter how little you think you have. Every human being has the ability to feel back in his loving arms. That's what this season's all about. Because every one of us is special. There's no one that knows it better than my next guest. I want to tell you a secret. I should hope and pray to have the opportunity to speak. I really do. It's an honor that I hope I always have with God's help, I hope. When I first started, I didn't know which way was up. And I was in this region called NCSY. And one of the greatest gifts that God gave me was he gave me the opportunity to stand and watch for a decade this next guest. He is a legend. Dan Butler. He's everything. He was a syndicated weekly columnist, a security salesman, a college professor, retail store manager. He was the regional director of NCSY. He's been a judicial law clerk, a prosecutor, a family court hearing officer, a family court mediator, successfully settling over 1,100 custody cases. Dan Butler served as a judge in the Municipal Court of Pittsburgh, as well as Pittsburgh's Specialized Domestic Violence Court. One of the places I once came there, he's going to remember. He once brought me to the bench with him once. I was there for Shabbos, one of the most powerful Shabbos of my whole life. He's lectured around the world, including from Radio City Music Hall to the Vermont Legislature, and over 1,000 times for the United Way. He has spoken about legal issues in Jewish ethics and hundreds of Jewish events around the country. Judge Dan Butler, welcome to the show.
Wow, I can't wait to hear what I have to say.
I know, right? First of all, it's an honor to have you on. You, Nina, you guys are total heroes in the Jewish world. And one of the reasons why I'm so happy you're on, I know you personally, I know you for many years. And if there's one family that understands this idea that appreciating every child, you guys exemplify it. Talk to us a little bit about how we do that. How does a parent be able to understand that secret to appreciate every single child for who he is?
Well, we live in a strange situation. As you know, we had 5 kids, and our oldest, Mikey, for 24 years, he was born with cystic fibrosis. He got lung transplants, and he got cancer from his new lungs, and that's eventually what did him in. And we have 2 autistic sons, one of whom you know pretty well from Camp Hask from the old days. Right. And our son Uri is now 37, going on 7. And our other son, JJ, is 34, maybe going on 10. And their perspective is that of that age group. And we have to dovetail everything to that. So that for many people who are empty nesters, because at my age, at our age, we should be empty nesters. We're not. And every Shabbos, every holiday, we have essentially young kids with us, and we have to make them special and unique and different, regardless of a pandemic or a quarantine or anything else. Here we are. And using that imagination and always having that verve and always having to live up to that has made a tremendous difference in our lives. We have always tried to be as happy as possible. When you talk about parenting, I liked what you said at the beginning. It's true. Even if you're single, even if you're retired, even if you have no children, whatever it is, you're still parenting, because in every interaction, you're parenting. Yesterday was, for the umpteenth time, Domestic Violence Day in my court. And I know that every single person that I interact with, what I do is going to change their day, maybe even their lives. So we all have to act accordingly. And for some people, they can't make that much of an impression. But it's important to realize that we all make a difference in other people's lives. I mean, I got it from my father. My father, who was the least likely American soldier in the history of the U.S. Army, went in on D-Day. He was a unathletic, quiet, pious kind of person. He certainly didn't belong there, but there he was. And from the earliest age until the end, and he had some incredible stories about it from the army and the war, because he went from D-Day, the beaches of Normandy, all the way into Germany. Shabbos, you have to do something that's special. And Shabbos, if you have something new during the week, I think the limitation on that is maybe brand new tennis shoes. But anything else you save for Shabbos. You wear it for the first time. You eat it for the first time. Shabbos has to be special. Sometimes Shabbos can be wonderful, and sometimes it's difficult depending on your family circumstances. But we were sure to make it special. And I just want to tell you one thing from this week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion is Ki Tavo. And it has two segments. The first segment is about a farmer bringing his first fruits to Jerusalem and making, he has an obligation to bring his first fruits, give them to the Kohen, and then he has an obligation to tell his story. He has to tell his life story, his family background. He has to remember where he came from. And then he has to list off that he has fulfilled all of his obligations, his community obligations, his charitable obligations, his obligations to his family. And then the Torah says something interesting. It says, "V'samachta b'chol hatov asher nasan lecha Hashem u'leveisecha." At that point, after you've related your history, you've met your obligation of providing to the Kohen, to the temple, your first fruits. At that point, be happy with everything that God has given you. Now, it's a clear directive from the Torah. The Torah says flat out, the same way the Torah says, thou shalt not, the Torah says, thou shalt be happy. But when you look at the Rambam, for instance, Maimonides, or any of those who count up the 613 mitzvot, you discover that that clear directive in the Torah is not one of the enumerated mitzvot. That clear directive from the Torah, the rabbis tell us, is advice. You're entitled to a victory lap. You've worked hard this week. It's time to sit back for a minute, assess your life, and be happy now. Enjoy what you have now. Make the best of what you have now. Because later in this week's Torah portion is what we call the Tochacha. It is a recitation, a narration of the cataclysmic, horrific, tragic events that could befall us if we go off the road. And everybody knows that in every life there is rain. Rain falls in everybody's life. Nobody has a completely happy life. It's what you make of your life. And this week's Torah portion says you don't know what's coming next. But today, right now, you have a warm piece of kugel. You have a moment of peace. You have children who are happy that the school week has ended. Enjoy it. Be happy, the Torah advises us, because we don't know what's coming. Hopefully it'll be good, but we'll be prepared because we will always be prepared with the right attitude.
You know, it's amazing you say it that way. And I want to just ask this question because it seems to me that this is sort of the underlying theme of both how you and your wife live your life and also what you're getting at, which is this underlying satisfaction and happiness with what you have includes your children. And when we try to fix our children, when we try to hope our children are more or different than they are, it changes the game. This I'm happy with what I have really applies to my kids and all of their positives and all of their challenges, because that's what God gave me. That's the narrative that I've been given. And I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm hearing this correctly, that I'm hearing from you, because I'm biased because I know it's you. So like I have the history with you, but I want to articulate it for everybody here. This is the core of appreciating the children. It's this sense of being happy with what we have. And if we have the ability to have a child or to have a nephew or to have a grandchild, that satisfaction is sort of the underlying theme to how to appreciate who they are.
It's all about perspective. You know as well as anybody from your years at HASC and your years in NCSY, you know that when they have a wheelchair race in Camp HASC, the kid who's in the wheelchair has as much happiness winning that wheelchair race where somebody pushed him from behind, was a little faster than whoever pushed everybody else. He's as happy as you're ever going to be when your last child gets married off and wins the lottery. Happiness is relative. You know, our son Uri's 37. Uri has a very simple understanding of the world. But I often say Uri's the happiest single person in America. He just makes the most of everything, and he's happy.
Yeah. Judge Danny Butler, I feel like we could do this all day. Thank you so much for joining us. Send regards to your wonderful, inspiring wife, to Uri and JJ, and to the whole family. And I hope and pray we get to see each other soon. Thank you for being with us on the show.
I hope so. And you keep on doing what you're doing for Klal Yisrael, because you're wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Shabbat Shalom. And I got to tell you, honestly, one of the most important for the viewers out there who don't know the Butlers, you got to get to know the Butlers. One of the most, I think, powerful Shabbos of my life took place in their house in Pittsburgh. And they're remembering this, where we got there was a snowstorm. We couldn't leave. And it was God's gift to us. And to everyone out there, I think the message really resonates, which is our happiness with what God has given us in our children is how we get to appreciate each and every single one. So I think that's a critical message. And now it's time for Kahoot. So get out your computers, go to kahoot.it, Google it. Mommy, make sure that you're on. I get to make sure this is the reason why I host the show, everybody, just so you know, is so that I am sure that my mom has enough time to log on to Kahoot. 838-1502. 838-1502. The competition begins. We've got some new entrants. I see some of our current Liron's on. Wow, the Popels are on. I see Patriots Rock is on. We've got Bring It On for this week's show. While I do it, let me get a couple more Shabbat Shaloms in to Bonnie Arteli in rainy Austin, Texas. Shabbat Shalom. Ruth Sussman in Miami. Shabbat Shalom. To the Blooms in Brooklyn. Shabbat Shalom. Shiri Eshel Mark Cohen in Mountain View, California. Shabbat Shalom. Miriam Benjudri, I hope I got that right. Shabbat Shalom to you. The Simons of Phoenix. Shabbat Shalom to you. Joel Salzman in Milwaukee. Alan and Stacy Levinrad from Maryland. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom to you. To the Silver family in Highland Park, New Jersey. Hillary and Lawrence Hess in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Shabbat Shalom. The Novak family in Toronto. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, I think we're almost ready to get to the Kahoot game. Couple more seconds, giving people the chance to jump on here. Make sure you can get on. You can do it on your app. You can do it online. You don't want to miss the competition. Shabbat Shalom to Leah Peril in New York City. Shabbat Shalom to Penina Medetsky in Houston. Okay, here we go. Let's begin. Here it is. First question. How do you say parents in Hebrew? Morim, Horim, Antagonistim, and Oyev. For the Israelis, I'm sure you're seeing it in new layers and lights of how these choices are picked. Morim, Horim, Antagonistim, and Ohev. Let's get a couple more Shabbat Shaloms in the 10 seconds that I have here. Linda Schwartz from Annandale, Virginia. Shabbat Shalom. Jen from Georgia. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, here we go. Horim, very good. Morim are teachers. Horim, very good. Let's see how we did. Steinhauses, Rachel, YMG, Putney. Putney continues to perform. I think I've seen Putney every single week on this. So Putney, reveal yourself so we get to see you. We get to at least know your name. Okay, let's go to the next question. According to the Pew Report, what percentage of parents say being parent is their greatest joy? 6%. 24%, 67%, or 91%. How many people think that being their parent is their greatest joy? I hope my mom is voting in one particular direction. Fallon Levin, Shabbat Shalom from Southfield, Michigan. Dumansky's in St. Louis, Shabbat Shalom to you. Shabbat Shalom to Leah from Montreal. Helen in Toronto. Okay, here goes. The answer is 91%. All right, I'm interested in the 1% of 6% here. 91%, that's pretty good. Learning, Steinhauses, Putney, continues H and Rachel S. Okay, let's go to our third question today. According to Google, what percentage of dads go to YouTube for guidance on key parenting topics? How many guys go to YouTube to figure out how to be a better parent? That's just, I guess, an easier way of saying it. Risa and Bryant Wool from Oak Park, Michigan, Shabbat Shalom. Henya Storch from Woodmere, Shabbat Shalom. Birmingham, Alabama, to the Bernheims, Shabbat Shalom. Lori Heifetz from the Upper West Side. I hope I got that right, Shabbat Shalom. Gabby Keston, Shabbat Shalom to you. Okay, here goes. 80% of dads go to YouTube for guidance. It's amazing how people got that right. Putney continues. H learning Rachel S. and Steinhouses. Let's go. Fourth and final question for this week's champion. Remember, well, I'll tell you afterwards, but after studying 70,000 children over 70 years, Harvard identified these as causes for successful and happy children, except for talking and listening to your kids, make it clear you have ambitions for their futures, fresh dinner 3 times a week, and teaching them numbers and letters. These are the things that make them happy, except for which one? Which one of these choices does not necessarily impact at the level of others their happiness? Rosalie Weisfeld from McAllen, Texas. Shabbat Shalom. The answer is making dinner. Continue doing so, but making dinner, I guess, is not as important as listening, giving them ambitions, and teaching them the basics of life. I wonder how many Jewish moms would disagree with that, by the way. Let's see what you get. Let's see who wins first. Chana placed on the 3rd place. Number 2, learning. Number 1, H. Number 1 is H. We should make a rule, Steinhaus and Gibbs, that you got to give me more than a letter to qualify. We'll talk about that later. Remember, we get new prizes for you. So if you have won, go to projectinspire.com and get Rosh Hashanah related prizes for the Kahoot game. One more time, I want to make sure that we remember that September 14th is the annual dinner. Make sure you check that out. I wonder, by the way, now that we're about to get to Jamie Geller, who's next, speaking about food, I wonder if my grandmother was playing Kahoot and the answer was dinner is the least important thing, if she would take issue. I think she would. And I also think, forgive me, Harvard, that the food that our moms have been making us consume is the secret to Jewish success. That's just my theory, but I'm not from Harvard. Next one, we have Jamie Geller. I don't know if Jamie Geller's mom is on, but continue to shep nachas from her. We're going to go to Jamie Geller, our partner here, who always delivers an incredible, incredible way for us to appreciate the wonderful food that she's doing. Check out our next segment on Jamie Geller.
Hi, Charlie. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. In keeping with the theme of this week's episode, I'd like to thank my parents. First of all, we're going to start with my mommy, who is a little bit of a celebrity here on the show. I think she's won Kahoot once or twice, and Charlie always makes sure to shout her out, which makes her feel so special. I want to make her feel even more special. She doesn't know this is coming. Hi, Mommy. I love you, and I know you're watching because you watch everything I do, and you are my #1 fan. Now, generally, we usually say that you're tied with hubby for that position, but for the purposes of this show, you are my longest #1 fan, and I think that's the greatest gift that you could have ever given me, is let me know how much you love and support every single thing that I do, and by association, everyone that I do it with. So happy that you're such a fan of this show as well. I love you, Mommy, a ton. Okay, and to the other half, my father and his father are going to be featured in this week's episode. No, they're not there, but it's their famous potato kugel. My father has taught me so much in life: how to ride a bike, how to drive a car, how to make a potato kugel. So I think that's a really nice, well-rounded education. And of course, he's allowed me to go to some of the finest educational institutions in the world. So Daddy, I thank you and love you for your support as well. You're all gonna love him too, because this potato kugel is literally famous. Not one person has ever tasted this and not said, I love it. I hope that you enjoy it. Like I said, it's passed down 3 generations, so it's tried and true and proven. Have a wonderful Shabbat. The stuff that dreams are made of.
You want to whisk together 3 eggs, and the idea here is to have everything ready to go so that the potatoes don't brown as we start to work with them. We have really quick assembly. Because the first time that I made potato kugel, for the first week that I was married to my husband with my grandfather and my mother at the table, so embarrassing because I turned out like a 1-inch thick, rubbery, brown, flat Passover cake. That's what it looked like. It was so mortifying because I didn't know these tips about having everything ready to go, having the potatoes soaking in water. So you've got to make sure that you follow these particular tips and it will make your potato kugel gorgeous. Season with 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. Don't be scared. Potatoes love salt. It helps their flavor shine through. And about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. My grandfather always used white pepper, especially because it's a really light colored recipe and the flavor was really delicate. But I never have white pepper in my house, so I made this switch when I started making potato kugel to the black pepper. We like that little bit of a contrast and kick, but totally up to you. The next thing, we've got our oil hot, we've got our eggs seasoned and ready. You want to do the onions first in the food processor, again, to keep those potatoes white and creamy. I have the blade set to the shoestring blade. That's like there's the whole controversy about do you like your potato kugel mushy or stringy? I grew up in a mush house. My husband grew up in a string house. So I asked him, what do you like? He said variety is the spice of life. So sometimes I make mush, sometimes I make string, and sometimes I do half and half. But today I've got the shoestring blade set here. So I have my peeled potatoes in a bowl of water because the second you peel the potatoes, they begin to oxidize. That's when they're going to start to turn brown, and this heads off that process. I have 6 kids in my house and I've got 6 peelers. So they help me peel all the potatoes. Potato kugel freezes amazing. I'll often double and triple this recipe, and so then I'll have like 12 or 18 pounds of potatoes that have to be peeled. So we all get together. We'll do like special time on Wednesday night and peel the potatoes. I'll leave them in the fridge overnight just like this, and then Thursday we'll bake. We're gonna mix everything together. Now we're gonna add our eggs. Good, that's looking good. And that's already gonna help protect the potatoes from browning a bit. And we're gonna add our hot oil. Wait for the sizzle. Wait for it. Awesome. That's where the magic happens. I remember watching my father and grandfather make this dish, and we would just start salivating at this point, and then we would just wait by the oven. Okay, now let's go quickly get our heated custard cups out of the oven. Hot oil, hot glass. But the glass is what gives it that coveted, crunchy exterior. Okay, you wanna fill these, you wanna pack them really nice. Get this in 425 degrees. Oh yeah. I remember standing vigil by the oven waiting for my grandfather and then my father's potato kugel. Honestly, potatoes, oil, and salt. You so can't go wrong with this. The best part though about my potato kugel cups is that no one has to fight over the coveted crunchy corner. So once these are cool enough to handle, just with a butter knife, loosen around the edges, they'll pop right out. You're gonna absolutely adore these. I've made them for my family hundreds of times. If you want more classic Jewish recipes, subscribe to my channel. I can't wait to cook with you.
Thank you, Jamie, for another incredible video. Our next guest is a person who I also am familiar with her father. This is a wonderful individual. Mrs. Chana Sterner-Lewenstein is the principal of Ateres High School in Muncie, a life coach, a therapist. She has a master's degree in clinical sociology and social work. She's also a program director of an online MSW program. Mrs. Lewenstein, welcome to the show. You hear us?
Yep, I got it.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you so much. I just want to say I'm so happy to be here with everybody. First time on the show, and I'm blown away. I feel so connected to everybody, to the Jewish nation that we're all part of. It's really, I'm really overwhelmed by that. Thank you.
Sure. And thank you for being on. You're the principal of a school. Listen, your father is an absolute legend. For those who don't know, Mrs. Lewenstein's father is Ronnie Greenwald. Ronnie Greenwald is one of the Jewish people's legends. I can tell you my story later. We don't have time. One of these days I'll tell you just my connection to your dad. But if you haven't yet seen Project Inspire's video highlighting him, go to theshabbatshow.com, go to projectinspire.com, and you'll see an individual who really is beyond belief. But you are a principal of a school. You're a therapist. You have so many different approaches now that is so critical right now. So we have children adjusting. Like I said in the beginning of the show, this is crazy times. Like I said, my little kids are in masks. You can't touch somebody. If someone comes over, my girls had a friend that she saw on the street whose sister got the virus, and now everyone's stuck. It's trying for parents, but it's also trying for children. And what advice do you have for parents now as the kids begin to readjust into what we'd call, let's say, normal times, right? We're trying to get back to normal, a drop, new year, new times. How, from your vantage point, you have a very interesting perspective, right? Both as a therapist and as a principal. What advice can you give parents out there to help kids adjust properly?
So I think, firstly, I would say just to notice all those things that you just said, how much the children are experiencing and have been experiencing that sense of unrest for all this time and the lack of structure. School's all about structure, and they haven't been in a structure for a really long time. So just remembering that as parents, that our expectations of them are that they slowly get back into structure, but it's going to be a process. And, I feel like this time that we've been in has been, my daughter Tehila, has been a time of, I had this idea of what I'm going to share with everybody a few days ago. And then I went back to school and all the ideas I had just went out the window because it's just, everything's so fluid and changing. And what you think is the right answer one day is not the right answer the next day based on the experience that you've had or you've seen kids have. So it's that open-mindedness to know that this is ever changing. Kids are feeling lots of different things. And they need us to know that it's unnerving for them. It's scary to go back to school. Can I say something that you said to me about school? My daughter said she's excited. Okay. No, I'm not going to share. So there's different feelings that they may feel about going back to school, and whatever they feel, we need to be like, yeah, that's what it is. We can't fix it. We could just understand that that's what their feelings are going back. And I told my students the first day, I'm like, the hardest thing when you're so nervous and you don't know what's going to be, you just want to stay under your blanket. You just don't want to go out there. Yeah. And the best thing we can do when we just don't know what's happening is to show up. And you all showed up. And I'm so proud of you for all that. And I hope you're proud of yourselves. And I really hope that all of us are recognizing how much that takes for our children to show up and to be there and to attend school and whatever capacity they're, every school is different and what they're doing is different. But if they show up to whatever it is that they're asked to do, that's incredible. And for sure, academics are important, for sure. I'm a principal, I believe it. But right now, just even attending and coming and doing their best, that's it. That's just to be so proud of them for doing whatever they can do. And really recognizing that there's a lot of social anxiety coming back and not knowing, how your peers are going to greet you. It's been a while. How's it going to be to sit there in that mask? How am I going to juggle everything? And we're just going to be patient with the process and really, really understanding.
It's great you say what you said. And I want to highlight one piece because I think it's so powerful and it applies to parents as well. We don't give ourselves enough credit for showing up, right? Showing up in life is like more than half of the battle. It's just taking it, right? And we don't necessarily give us credits for showing up as parents and showing up in this world and showing up what's going on. We don't give our kids enough credit for showing up. I love that point. I want to just highlight it for a second. What is it like for a kid when I think the reason why we don't give kids enough credit is because we're worried, like if I don't set the bar high enough, like they're not going to strive. But I think what is it like for a child in your experience when people are, at least at the right time, focused on this, which is go show up, do the best you can. Like, I recognize that, even though, and in the beginning we had a woman named Adina Stillerman who said something interesting. She said, the way you parent kids in one generation doesn't apply to the next generation. And this isn't, we're not living in generations, right? The way, like, for us, the last generation was February. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way we lived in February, like, it's a different generation. We're like living in a different time zone. So, like, whatever we did up until March is it has to be in a way rethought. How much goes into that, and how much would you counsel parents to really reshift their expectations for the foreseeable future for their children?
I think it starts first with listening to them and what they're saying about what their experience is. So making space for them to be able to say what their experience was without any judgment or criticism of it, because we jump to like get nervous about what they said, because like, oh, did they just say that they're not going to school ever again? Oh my gosh, right? Did they just say that they hate their teacher? Like, and we just jump but if we can try really hard to recognize that we're getting, unnerved and scared, and just try to focus on what the child is saying, that their experience is. And I'm all distracted right now. And to just focus on what their experience is, then we're going to have a feeling of what they need to hear from us. It's probably not going to be to solve the problem, heads up. It's probably not going to be to fix it and to, come with a great idea that mom has or dad has. Probably going to be to hear it, to hear what they're experiencing, and to share that with them. And then you'll see if they ask you a question, we'll try to answer it. If they, if they have something more to share, you'll have given that opportunity. So I think that, with everything that's going on, that's so bizarre. At the same time, we always go back to basics. And those basics, I think, are the love and time that we give over. We've talked about this and it's come up in the show. And also boundaries, to keep the boundaries with love in a gentle way, the structure of the house, bedtime and meal time and bath time and homework time. So keeping a combination of keeping the structure and giving a lot of love together. So crazy times, but I think we go back to basics.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your wisdom. I'm sure that your school is going to navigate properly with someone with this much insight at the top. Thank you. One of these days, I'll call you and share with you just how much your father has impacted my life. But until then, good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, and continue doing what you're doing for the Jewish people.
Thank you so much. Good Shabbos, everyone.
And it's really, that's the truth. The truth is that half of what we're doing is showing up. And that's such a big piece. And by the way, that's what Shabbat's all about. That's what God is saying. Doesn't it all come back to Shabbat? We've done this 100 times together. Is there anything that doesn't relate to Shabbat? Isn't that what Shabbat is? God's like, just show up. Yeah, I got it. You're not perfect. Yeah, I got it. You don't run the world. Yeah, you had ups, you had downs this week. But guess what? It's over. It's me and you time now. Sit at the table. Hold the cup. Just show up. Just be here from Shabbat. Don't worry. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what you know and don't know. I just want you. It's a relationship, not a religion. I love that. I love that. To all those that I didn't get a chance with, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. A couple more. Liran, Lisa, Debbie, Dorian, Shabbat Shalom. For those that are on Thing, to the Begun and Bolton family, Shabbat Shalom. Sorry if I missed a couple. Shabbat Shalom to Rivka Mansour, Lisa Mervis, Linda from Buffalo. Shabbat Shalom to everybody. The lesson that I think we take from this show. God wants a relationship. Be happy with what we have. Do a victory lap, as Dan Butler said so beautifully. Just show up. Recognize that everything is changing and we need to be more appreciative of what we have and sensitive to the people around us. And most importantly, we need to appreciate that we got to be good parents and siblings and aunts and grandparents, but we also have a great Father out there who wants the best for us. That's what Shabbat's about. So on behalf of me and mine, to you and yours, I wish you a Shabbat filled with wisdom and rest and perspective. May we have a Shabbat in which we can put the whole world in some order that makes us more comfortable, but even if not, may we realize that the more we just show up, the more we push for the relationship, the more we push for the happiness and everything that we have, the more we will experience life with the richness that it can offer us. I really hope that next week we do this in live and from Jerusalem. But if not, I hope I get to see you next week as well. So, happy long weekend for those that are watching from America. Happy Labor Day weekend. And to everybody, have a great weekend, good Shabbos, and Shabbat Shalom. Can't wait with God's help to see you next week.